From a man who tried to do a political compass test, but whose placement on the authoritarian scale was so far right that the grid collapsed into a four-dimensional cube to be able to accommodate his right-wing tendencies, this is your repository for 40 News, The Daniel Natal Show. In a recent interview with Oprah Winfrey, Meghan Markle has accused the British royals of racism, a charge that probably wasn't helped when, in deference to Markle, the House of Windsor replaced the traditional monarchical wedding music with a theme from the Jeffersons.
Well, we're moving on up to the east side, to a deluxe apartment in the sky. Moving on up to the east side.
Okay, that didn't actually happen. Nor were there any other overt signs of racism from the royal family. So Markle has produced as evidence claims that she was suicidal, and that her in-laws did nothing to assuage her mental anguish. One person who is deeply distrustful of Markle's account is perennial British newsman Piers Morgan, who used to actually be a friend of Markle's before she shot up to fame. Afterward, she purportedly froze him out as she rose up in the world. Ever since, Morgan has been highly critical of her honesty, which came to a head when he challenged her to give the exact names of the people she sought for help so that the story could be fact-checked. But of course, in our new woke protocols, people leveling charges of racism, homophobia, or misogyny are never supposed to be questioned or their claims scrutinized, as Morgan found out when the entire British media establishment turned on him for airing his skepticism.
You've got a personal relationship with Meghan Markle, or had one, and she cut you off. She's entitled to cut you off if she wants to. Has she said anything about you since she cut you off? I don't think she has, but yet you continue to trash her.
OK, I'm done with this.
No.
Sorry, no. Sorry.
Do you know what? That's pathetic.
You can trash me, maybe, not my
No.
See you later.
I'm being...
Sorry, can't do
This is
this.
absolutely diabolical behaviour.
Morgan was subsequently fired after Markle called the news network, because nothing says victimhood more than the institutional power that one draws upon to get people fired. Another person who expressed skepticism of Markle's account was her own sister, Samantha, who accused her of being a narcissist in a recent interview.
Well, she's not estranged from her dad. The bottom line is, when she said, I lost my dad, the world watched as my dad was in interviews wanting communication with his daughter. She didn't lose her dad. She iced her dad. But the bottom line is, we were a family, and I think to suggest that she was an only child was really delusional.
Do you think she's embarrassed of you guys?
No, I don't think it was about embarrassment. I think clearly, because so many things were coming out in the public that she was being scrutinized for, that it was like, oh my God, I'm in a corner, I'm being busted on all of this. I mean, it's all coming to the surface. So she started playing victim, and I think it was all a matter of deflecting from that. And at the wedding, it's not that she was embarrassed about it. It's because the Raglins didn't get invited to the wedding either. Our family's pretty upstanding. My dad worked in television 40 years. The bottom line is, oh my God, my lies are going to come to surface if anybody comes to the wedding and they drink champagne at the reception and people start talking. So I'm not going to invite anybody, and then nobody can talk. I definitely see a narcissistic personality disorder, and I'm not diagnosing her. Yeah, I feel sorry for Harry because he fell victim to her negligence and I will say sociopathy.
By most accounts, the former actress turned royal has a rather complicated relationship with reality, which brings us to our next story. Meet James Jesus Angleton. He was one of the earliest kingpins of the CIA, there on the ground floor from its OSS days. The head of CIA counterintelligence, he was charged with opening up relations with Israel, as well as establishing contacts between the CIA and the Vatican. According to the article in Mother Jones, There Will Be Done, the Vatican gave Angleton one of their most prestigious awards in 1946. It had to do with counterintelligence, Angleton told Mother Jones when asked why he was chosen for such a distinction. During World War II, Angleton was the head of the Rome station of the OSS. Later, on his return to Washington, he ran what was tantamount to the Vatican desk for the CIA. Why Angleton figures into the story is that he was also tasked with infiltrating the Catholic Church. One of his other legacies was mind control experiments that started under the code name Project Artichoke. This would later turn into the far more famous MKUltra experiments. According to the article, The Mysterious Death of CIA Scientist Frank Olson, Schwab was quite familiar with Olson, having worked closely with him in 1943 and 1944 on several classified research projects, one of which also involved Dr. Harold Abramson, who was then a medical officer in the Army and a consultant to the OSS. In September 1950, at the same time that CIA official James Jesus Angleton vetted Frank Olson to work for the agency's top-secret Artichoke project, Schwab was selected to be chief of the newly formed Special Operations Division at Camp Dietrich. What's of note here is that Angleton, through his contacts at the Vatican, arranged to have mind control experiments done among nuns in Catholic convents. Evidently, they liked the idea of an isolated community cut off from the rest of the world, as well as naive and unsuspecting subjects who were submissive and self-abnegating. One of the survivors of the abuse was a whistleblower named Sister Charlotte Keckler, whose accounts were blood-chilling.
And then in a few mornings after this, the Mother Spirit's taking me back for another initiation. And when I go into the penance chamber this morning, we come from a place up here, and we're going to walk back along the, like that, clear to the back. And you know, it was quite a ways back there, and I went through part of it's a tunnel, and then I come out into a room, and I'll walk through that room, and when I get way back there, I see those candles burning. And I see something else. There's ropes hanging down from the ceiling, and oh, I'm so scared. I wonder what the ropes are for and what's she going to do. After these two penances, you began to have a lot of fear in your heart. And so I can't say anything, and I walked back there, and you know, I saw the ropes then real plain, what they're doing hanging down from that ceiling. Then she tells me, you go over there against the wall, about that close from the wall, and I have to stand sideways like this. Then she asked me to put up both of my thumbs, and I did. And then she pulled one rope down, and there's a metal band fastened securely, and she fastens that around the joint of my thumb. Then the other one comes down and fastens around this thumb. And there I'm standing like this, facing the wall, and then, you know, she comes over here to the end, and there's a whatever you want to call it, she starts winding. And I start moving, and she's taking me right up in the air. And, you know, when she gets me so just my toes are on the floor, just on my tiptoes, she fastens it. And there I hang, and all the weight of my body is on my thumbs and on my toes. Not a word is said. No one speaks a word. And she walks out of that room and locks the door. If you know what it means to hear a key locking a door and know that I'm strung up there like that, you'll never know unless you're a nun. And when that woman walked out, I didn't know how long I'll stay there, how long that woman will leave me there. And you know, they didn't come to give me food. They brought me no water. And I thought, is this it? Am I going to die back here just like this? And within a few hours, you can imagine, I'm still a human being. My muscles began to scream out with the pain. I was suffering. And that woman let me hang, and nobody come near. And what good would it do for me to cry? You can spill every tear in your body. Nobody will hear you. There's no one there to care how many tears you spill. And so I just hung there. And finally, I began to I felt like I couldn't stand it. I'll surely die if they don't come and get me quickly. And I felt as if I was beginning to swell. I don't know how long went by, and she opened the door one morning, and she had something for me to eat. And the water was in a pan, and it was potatoes, and those potatoes were not good to eat. They were in a pan. And there's a shelf over there on the wall that she can adjust to the height of the nun. And, you know, she pulls it up. Now, I'm not against the wall. I'm about this far from it. But to get that food, she puts it there and said, this is your food. And she walks out. Now, how am I going to get it? She didn't let my hands down, but this is what you'll learn. And you'll struggle to get it. I'm hungry. I mean, I'm so thirsty, I feel like I'm going mad. And to get it, I discovered that this hand goes high, and this one will come down a little bit. And that'll keep right on going higher. As I lean, I have to reach higher with this one. This one will automatically let down. And to get that water and that food, I mean, I had to get it like the dogs and cats.
A lot of the activity taking place at the time was in California, where other MKUltra mind control operations were being run out of the Laurel Canyon area, where a military facility was located. Journalist Dave McGowan has written extensively on this. See his book, Weird Scenes Inside the Canyon, to find out about CIA mind control experiments that had such notables among their stable of operatives as Jim Jones and Charles Manson. The CIA was studying how to create a cult and take over a society. What means would be necessary to not just brainwash one individual, but a whole community. McGowan, as well as other researchers, have extensively documented Manson's role as an MKUltra experiment. And what's odd is that the house where his famous killings took place, where they wrote Helter Skelter on the walls in blood, is right next door to a Catholic convent that Katy Perry has been trying to acquire since 2014. The name of the nunnery? The Sisters of the Immaculate Heart Convent, which has connections to James Jesus Angleton and the MKUltra experiments. Why are the Sisters of the Immaculate Heart significant? because in 1906 they founded the Immaculate Heart of Mary High School, where Meghan Markle attended. According to this article, Markle attended the school, which includes a middle school from 7th through 12th grade. She was chosen as a Kairos retreat leader during her senior year, and she took part in the school's theater productions. And now, Katy Perry, seen here with the Pope, is hell-bent on acquiring this property, for some strange and unknown reason. Is she merely an intermediary carrying out the embassy of the Vatican? Is this work done on behalf of the CIA to keep snooping eyes out of the school records of Meghan Markle? For those who are confused as to why Katy Perry may be acting as a cutout for the Vatican, it might be instructive to explain that many celebrities and industrialists use the Vatican as a sort of money laundering hub. They take small fortunes and make very large fortunes with these connections. And it takes us back to the relationship between the CIA and the Vatican Bank established by none other than James Jesus Angleton. According to this article, fearful that the decree might be insufficient to crush the forces of godlessness, Pius XII continued to tighten his ties with the CIA into a Gordian knot that no one could unravel. The CDP continued to receive more than $20 million in annual aid from the CIA, and in return, the CIA established a Vatican desk under Angleton. It adds, in the months before the 1948 national election, the CIA dumped $65 million of its black money into the Vatican Bank. Long story short, if you want to go down a strange, but well-documented rabbit hole, look into James Jesus Angleton's usage of the Catholic Church for MKUltra mind control experiments. Check out their usage of convents, their abuse of nuns in particular, and their operations run out of Laurel Canyon in California. Dave McGowan's work on that is exemplary. And then cross-reference all this with Meghan Markle and her Catholic school. When you stand back and look at the constellation of weird coincidences, you start to get the sinking feeling that Meghan Markle may not be what she presents herself as. She may be more than the average citizen who was once a good Catholic schoolgirl, because her Catholic school may not have been what it appears, and the Jesus who shaped her in her formative years may have had less to do with the New Testament than with the CIA's James Jesus Angleton. Could reading the New American Magazine boost your heart health, support your immune system, and help you lose 20 pounds of unsightly fat? The answer is no, but you should read it anyway. It'll keep you informed and provide information that cuts through the noise of lesser news outlets. thenewamerican.com. And don't forget to subscribe to us on social media and hit that like button.